Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and it's time to look ahead to the waiver wire for Week 5 in the NFL. Can you believe it? We're here already, folks. Time is flying, and players are flying to the injured reserve. Luckily, your boys are here to help you get the right players to replace those injured wide receivers, those injured running backs. But we've also got the waiver wire ad of the week, and we're coming off some spectacular performances. Derrick Henry, my goodness, DBRO, I bet him to go over 925 and a half yards on the season. I think he got most of that last night, I'm pretty sure.
I bet the over on his rushing yards last night, and I was like, oh, look at that. Took only one carry. That was a nice fast over. Good to see.
Yeah, and I know, Pat, look, you got to love the chutzpah you saw from your Packers coming back after being down 28-0 at one point. It was brutal. And, we have fun on the show. We're all friends on the show. And last week I wore my Minnesota Vikings long sleeve t-shirt that I had, just kind of, trolling Pat before the game. And, Pat, don't worry, that's in the wash, and it was a tough Sunday for you, but it's hot here.
No, he didn't.
Oh, God. Sorry. I can't do the show like this.
Oh, the trolling.
I had a t-shirt too, because I was coach of the Vikings a couple years ago for flag football. But Pat, Jordan Love is back. That's good news for you.
Yes, it is. Next level trolling, Joel. Joe. Nice. Next level trolling. That was amazing. I obviously the start was not dreamy. The Packers are back in kicker hell. Unfortunately, they're probably going to get a new one this week. And but I admired the pluck, and it was good to see that Love is back and doing Jordan Love things again.
This is why you're watching the show. For those of you just listening on the podcast, I got more than one Viking shirt, it turns out, in the old drawer. All right, let's get to some business here at the top. Obviously, we have our giveaways here, Fantasy Pros, and you subscribe because you like watching the show, you like hanging out, and one of our subscribers is a big winner. The winner of the Trophy Smack Stunner Ring and Display Case giveaway is Marinda. I hope I say this nicely. I believe that's how it is. So Marinda Nicely, you are the big winner. Please get in touch with us at our support agents at mailbag@fantasypros.com with your mailing address and proof of your subscription to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel, and we'll get that shipped out to you right away. Again, Marinda Nicely, nicely done. Congratulations. So one giveaway is over, which means a new giveaway begins. And from Trophy Smack, we're giving away the large Fantasy Football Wall Smack. That's right. That's the new giveaway. We've teamed up with our friends at Trophy Smack to give away something truly epic this week, a large Fantasy Football Wall Smack of your choosing. That's right. These magnetic metal wall plaques aren't just wall art. They're a statement piece that lets everybody know how passionate you are about fantasy football, whether you go with the sleek floating style or the bold poster. Wall Smack is the perfect addition to your fan cave. So you can enter to win right now. How do you do that? It's easy. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel right here, Fantasy Pros. Drop your comments below. That's it. And you will be entered to win. And don't forget to ring that notification button so you don't miss any new video here at Fantasy Pros, and we can alert you to claim your prize. So congratulations to Marinda, and hopefully you will win this next time. Someone out there is going to get our latest Trophy Smack giveaway. Trophy Smack is amazing. All right, let's get to our waiver wire ad of the week. For a lot of us who didn't get Jaden Daniels, a lot of people thought that Anthony Richardson would be one of the breakout fantasy QBs this year. Well, it turns out Justin Fields is actually having the Anthony Richardson season right under our nose. Right now, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback in points per game, and he is coming off a performance where they fell a little short. Offensive line really had some issues in that first half, but 312 passing yards, a touchdown, 55 rushing yards, and not one, but 2 rushing touchdowns. Pat, I know it's rare we have a quarterback as the waiver wire ad of the week, but considering what we're seeing in the QB landscape, some underperformances, some guys like Mahomes now down another weapon, we can go on and on about that. Fields looks like a guy that can go out there, get you 25 plus points a week, and that can win you a matchup. What are your thoughts on what you saw yesterday in the second half from Fields and what you think the future is going to be for him this season?
Yeah, when I do my rest of season rankings later this afternoon, I have to at least consider putting Justin Fields ahead of Patrick Mahomes, who has had one 20-point fantasy game since week 8 of last season, and who has been, I think, under 16 fantasy points in more than half of those games. We know that running ability is a cheat code for quarterbacks, and Justin Fields is a very good runner. But the good thing is he's getting rid of the problems that plagued him in Chicago. He has thrown only one interception in 4 starts. In Chicago, Justin Fields was a sack magnet. He's only taken 10 sacks in 4 games, which isn't bad. Dare we give Arthur Smith credit for doing a nice job with Justin Fields so far and putting him in a position to be successful? Never mind. Forget I said anything. I was up late last night working on the waiver article. I'm obviously sleep deprived if I'm throwing bouquets of flowers at the feet of Arthur Smith. So let's just move on.
Yeah, I mean, the play calling, especially in the first half of that game, was suspect. The offensive line play still, but Fields continues to overcome. I mean, I watched a real good chunks of that game. You know, Red Zone was in it a lot yesterday because it was constantly things were happening. And DBRO, the takeaway that I had again is just every single week, it just seems like Justin Fields gets more and more comfortable. And every single week, that passing number goes up. Unfortunately, you know, Pickens had that key fumble too. I would have had even more potentially for the fantasy day. So they got to clean up some mistakes. But at the same time, you know, to Pat's point, you look at the QBs here. You know, Burrow's at QB 12. You look at Mahomes right now, QB 16. Some of the other quarterbacks right now have really underperformed. Goff, Richardson. Justin Fields looks like a guy who could help win you your league in 2024.
He absolutely does. And I know I made a lot of wincing faces, but yes, a little bit of shout out to Arthur Smith using Justin Fields' legs, using play action. But really, this comes down to Fields, man. Can we say all the adversity he's overcome coming into this new franchise, the new team, and now cementing himself? Like, I don't think there's any chance Russell Wilson gets this job back. Cementing himself as the QB1 on this roster. People wrote him off, and Fields said, I'm not writing back, man. And he looks like he's not going to slow down at any time soon, man. Like, he's got the Cowboys up next in the schedule, the Raiders, the Jets. Okay, that one's tough. But then the Giants, the Commanders. Looks like it's wheels up, man. Like, rest of the season, he's got to be a top 8, top 10 quarterback, and where he goes above that is up to everybody's discretion. But I think that's the starting point.
Yeah, look, and these big splash games too, where he has multiple, you know, rushing touchdowns, and those are just huge fantasy movers. I mean, if you had him active and you lost last week, I want to know how. Like, it's just, you know, he's just moving that needle. And speaking of touchdowns, taking it to the house, in for 6, whatever you want to call them, DraftKings is your spot where touchdowns matter more. And DraftKings is the official sportsbook partner of the NFL, whether it's on the ground or in the air or from special teams and defense. We don't care how they score. We just want them to score, and we can score a great deal for you at DraftKings right now. The number one place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code FantasyPros. That's code FantasyPros. You get new customers, $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gentlemen, let's shift our attentions to the running backs. A lot to get to. Last week, actually, let's be honest, 3 weeks now, we've been talking about Rico Dowdle. I don't understand why the roster percentage is just 56%. Thursday is not that long ago. I remember watching that game. And I also remember seeing Ezekiel Elliott again, looking like complete and utter dust. It's time, folks. I don't think they're going to make another move, the Cowboys, for another running back. The backfield is going to continue to shift. Next week, I believe they do get the Steelers, right? So you're talking about having to use that running back position here, trying to take some heat off Dak Prescott. So Dowdle, working in the passing game, working on the rush side. DBRO, I'm still shocked that we're not over 60, 70% with Dowdle right now. It just makes no sense to me, but he is definitely the top of my running back list this week.
Yeah, I agree, Joey. And I mean, on the surface, it doesn't look like his role changed a bunch in terms of, like, still 45% snap rate, got 12 touches, 61 total yards. But when you kind of get to the nitty and gritty of it, like, less Ezekiel Elliott, they were using more of their fullback as far as passing downs and stuff. I think eventually Rico takes over that. So I think there's a really easy scenario where his snap rate goes from 40 in the mid 40s to 60% pretty quickly. The upcoming matchups are pretty tough, Joey, but, like, I mean, you got Pittsburgh, Detroit, San Francisco, Atlanta, Philly. Some of those are good. Some of those are kind of up and down. But I think still Rico is a guy we need to be talking about, can take over and will take over this backfield, because we've seen enough out of Ezekiel Elliott. I think the biggest takeaway for me with Rico is 18% missed tackles forced, 2.7 yards of contact per attempt, finally showing a little bit of tackle breaking juice. I agree with you. Number one running back of the week.
Look, I'm not saying Rico Dowdle is a league winner, Pat, but it just feels like the Cowboys have to continue to press forward with the future here. And Zeke going, 3 carries for 6 yards or 5 carries for 19 is just not going to do it.
Yeah, Dowdle is the lead running back for the Cowboys. And maybe that means a little less for the Cowboys than it does mean for some other teams. But Dowdle is still averaging just under 11 touches a game. And that certainly has value now that the bye weeks are about to kick in. And if the Dallas defense starts playing better and giving the Cowboys some more run-friendly game scripts, maybe that ticks up to 15, 16 touches a game. And now we're cooking. We've got Dowdle maybe in RB2 territory.
All right, the next guy on our list, I got to say, I'm going to personally take an L on. I did not think Kareem Hunt was going to come in and work as well as he did in that game. Look, the Chargers have a lot of issues right now that they're dealing with, but let's put all that aside. The Chargers and the Chiefs yesterday, you watched 2 offenses that just couldn't seem to get in rhythm, really. But now the Chiefs have this other added issue now with Rashee Rice. We're waiting on official news from that, but let's just say he's going to be out for a while. At the very least, if not for the entire season. Hopefully that's not the case. But again, we're waiting as of recording this to have clarity on that. But Kareem Hunt, 14 carries, 69 yards, also caught a couple balls. Pat, right now, he is still available in a lot of leagues. He is only rostered in about 40% right now, I see on spots. What's your take on what you saw to Kareem Hunt and what you might see going forward from him in this Chiefs offense?
I'll share that L with you, Joe, because I thought this was going to be the Carson Steele show, and I was not interested at all in adding Kareem Hunt. And I just didn't expect him to come in and be the main guy right away. He came in and was the main guy right away. So,
he was.
And here's the thing, the Chiefs are going to need to lean on their running backs even harder now without Rashee Rice for a prolonged period of time, possibly the entire season. And Rice was basically an extension of their running game, throwing him little quick hitting passes, letting him pick up yardage after the catch. They don't have that now. So I think their offense, by out of necessity, has to become more running back centric. I actually think Hunt is a more valuable ad than Dowdle this week.
Interesting. That's an interesting take here because of the circumstances surrounding it. I get Pat's point of view. DBRO, what do you think of what Pat just said there?
I get it. I would say this, and I don't know, maybe this is a hot take, guys, but looking at the offensive situations, which one seems like the better offense right now, Dallas or Kansas City? And I know that sounds crazy, but all the injuries to Kansas City, it's rough, man. Like, I mean, they still have Worthy, they still got Kelsey, but outside of that looks like last year. Mahomes looks, I'm not saying pedestrian, but like not amazing right now. So it's a good point. I think it's really up for discussion, but I still think I take Dowdle, as crazy as that sounds.
I think I still, like, if you're in one of these, waiver claim scenarios, I would still take Dowdle because of the age and because of the offense. But to Pat's point, everybody, like, there's a good chance that, you're going to see those guys closer than you realize a lot of weeks. I just don't know over the long term of the season. I still feel like Dowdle might be the better investment when we get to week 12, 13. I don't know what Kareem Hunt's going to show me then. But in the short term right now, if you need a lot of help, I mean, Kareem Hunt certainly is a guy that you can look to and say he's going to give you immediate help. What about immediate help of Trey Sermon when it comes to Jonathan Taylor, who's going to have a high ankle sprain? Again, Jonathan Taylor on the shelf. I mean, this is 3 years in a row. It's crushing, soul crushing for a lot of the fantasy managers out there. Sermon didn't look great yesterday. He's only rostered in 4% of leagues, so he's out there, folks. But the question is, do you get Joe Flacco? Do you get Richardson? And what really can Trey Sermon give you, DBRO, in terms of your return on investment?
I think you're looking at a very similar Cam Akers and Houston kind of situation where he probably takes most of the work, especially the early down work. We'll see what he does as far as the passing game, but probably a good portion of that. But really what I want to point out here is this week you're going up against Jacksonville. While you can throw the ball all over the yard against Jacksonville, running against them is a little bit tougher. So probably low-end RB2, if we're assuming Jonathan, which I think is a good assumption. Jonathan Taylor's out this week. Sermon's probably going to fall into that low end RB2, high end RB3 bucket.
Fair enough. Your thoughts? I know from some of our conversations, Pat, I have to imagine you've got a fair amount of Jonathan Taylor this year. Is Trey Sermon your pivot, or is it the Kareem Hunts and Rico Dowdles of the world?
I would rather have Hunt or Dowdle for the long-term value, but if I'm trying to maybe save on fab a little bit and can get Sermon in, and DBRO made the perfect comp with Cam Akers, just a guy who's going to have no value other than just in the here and now for the next probably 0 to 2 weeks. And it's possible they're calling the Taylor injury a mild high ankle sprain. I don't know if such a thing actually exists, but I think
sounds like 2 to 4 weeks to me, Pat. That's all I hear when you say that. 2 to 4. Yeah.
So the safe assumption is that he's not going to be playing this week. And if you need a week 5 running back Band-Aid, yes, really tough matchup against the Jaguars this week, but Trey Sermon is a viable option to step in and get 12 plus carries.
Do you think people will overrate Trey Sermon based on last year, what they saw from Zach Moss, who all of a sudden blew up in fantasy?
Yeah, that's a good thought. I think people might. And look, he does run behind a good offensive line. The Colts still have one of the better offensive lines in the league. And we saw the Indianapolis offense be able to do business against a really good Pittsburgh D yesterday, in large part because of that offensive line. So yeah, people might have memories of what Zach Moss did in 2023, early in 2023.
It's pretty recent memories. Tank Bigsby, another guy I want to chat about. One that we've talked about before, but the roster percentage hasn't moved up. 18% is where he's at right now. Explosive plays, right? If you go to week 1, right, you look at the numbers, obviously he had a big run there. Then nothing against Cleveland, nothing against Buffalo, right? He's completely just non-existent. And then against Houston, another huge run. Pat, is Bigsby a guy that you have to, in deeper leagues, just roster on principle at this point, just based upon if something should happen to ATN, that explosiveness with Bigsby is there, and Bigsby could become an instant fantasy contributor?
I think he probably should be rostered in most leagues, Joe. Bigsby has looked good, and he has looked a lot better than he looked last season. Now it's easier to see why Doug Peterson was talking him up in the offseason, talking about wanting to get him the ball more. But I do think Bigsby is still more of a speculative play than anything else in case the Jaguars start to circle the drain and maybe they give him an extended audition as their lead back. But I don't really want to have to start Tank Bigsby this week against the Colts, even though it's a good matchup, just because I don't think there's a guarantee he gets even 8 carries this week.
You are, DBRO, the OG Tank Bigsby guy. The explosiveness is there. And I guess I'm kind of surprised that the roster percentage is still quite so low, considering some of the other fab that people have thrown on some other running backs, because again, it's another one of these situations where something happens and then immediately this guy's stock goes very high, in my opinion.
I mean, Tank's, not to draw straight parallels again, but isn't Tank Bigsby kind of like the low-key Chase Brown here? Like the guy who's working in, only getting the early down work, getting 30% of the snaps. He's doing a lot with it, but if there's a world where Chase Brown is on every single roster in the fantasy landscape, then why isn't Tank Bigsby? He should be. I mean, I don't look at him as a standalone value kind of guy, how we're talking about previous weeks of Braylon Allen and things like that. He's only getting a handful of touches. It's only the early downs, not much passing down stuff at all, if any. So I look at him as still being a high-end handcuff, but again, one that should be rostered, and this roster percentage needs to go up.
I don't think we should mention the Jets today out there for any Jet fans, because you don't
have any Broncos gear to put on, Joey?
I don't. Oh no, it's a tragedy.
Weird.
But I was all smiles on the way to my Sunday birthday dinner with my family after that final score. That was just a beautiful thing to watch. It was a good time. Let's talk about Roschon Johnson. DBRO, this is a guy that last week on the live stream, sometimes we are first to market here. We are out there before anybody else talking about waiver wire. That's why you join us all the time, to get a jump on everybody else. But sometimes a player every now and then will fall through the cracks. And then on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we have our waiver wire live stream here, live on the channel. Again, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss it, where I highlighted Roschon at the very top of that show, and I wanted to talk about him because I was curious to see if he would start to get a little bit more. Now, look, the volume didn't change all that much, right? He went from 8 carries, 30 to 7, 26, but he didn't have the touchdown. And what you did see is all of a sudden the Bears start to use the 2 tight ends more, just trying to do everything they could to get the run game going a little bit. Now, DeAndre Swift was more of the beneficiary, but Roschon to me is still a guy worth adding, 44%. T-Bro and I already talked about him. Pat, real quick, I want your take on Roschon.
It's kind of meh, Joe, because we saw DeAndre Swift still operate as the lead back yesterday, and the Bears running game only really worked for the first time all season in week 4. It had not been functional for the first 3 weeks of the season. So as the number 2 running back in a running game that only works intermittently, I'm not that interested.
Are you interested, guys, in Tyler Allgeier, another guy? I mean, 8 for 60 yesterday. It's very frustrating. Like, every time I see Tyler Allgeier get the football, I just wonder, why not more Bijan? I just don't understand. And then I saw a play almost immediately after where Bijan catches a ball, runs in for a touchdown. Now, that play got called back, unfortunately. But I'm not trying to disparage Tyler Allgeier. I just don't understand why the Falcons seem to be obsessed with him. Especially now that the regime has changed. D-Bro, Tyler Allgeier, clearly another guy that's proven that he can be viable. 34% rostered. Is he worth a roster spot in your opinion? Not just based on what you saw yesterday, but based on the fact that he doesn't seem to ever go away?
Yeah, I mean, another guy where we're talking about RB3 land, high in handcuff land. Arthur Smith has gone from Atlanta, but Raheem Morris in front of the mic yesterday was doing his best Arthur Smith impression, like talking about, well, stats don't matter, and we're riding the hot hand. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. Just why do we not have more Bijan Robinson in our life? But this is where we are, guys. Tyler Allgeier should be on rosters. Absolutely. If we're talking about rostering Tank Bigsby, all these other guys that are handcuffs and high-end ones at that, anything happen to Bijan, Allgeier would be a full-blown bell cow.
All right, we got to make some room here for some guys. So I want to ask Gus Edwards, is it time to drop him, D-Bro?
Gone.
Pat, same thing?
Yes.
All right, what about some people will overreact, so that's why I want to bring this one up. Carson Steele. Pat, you mentioned about wanting to have Hunt, being disappointed in Steele. Would you, let's say you're in a roster crunch, would you straight up make that change of Hunt for Steele?
I think I would. I just... How slow is too slow to be an NFL running back? Maybe 4.75 speed is too slow. And I think Kareem Hunt can better that. I think that's why Kareem Hunt is the lead guy now.
All right. What are your thoughts here, D-Bro, on the Carson Steele situation?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't that much. I mean, I was into him because I thought he was going to get the snaps and stuff, but I've been very transparent. I think he's Ryan Nall 2.0. So I'm with Pat here. I would be dropping him and picking up Kareem Hunt.
Okay. Very good. Good stuff there, everybody. All right, let's get to the wide receivers. Before we do, just a quick reminder, if you want to go out there and, in between football games, maybe live a little life or live some life at a live game, the Game Time app is the way to go. We've got 2 concerts this week we're a big concert family, and Game Time, I know, is a great way to get those tickets. That's why I use Game Time, and you should too. We are a society here where we're so much on our phones all the time, and it's good to be out there with people. For my birthday last week, just went to see Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats for the second time on my birthday last 2 years. Pretty good show. Pat, I'll send you some of the footage there. But it doesn't matter if you want to go take your kids to the Conan Gray concert like I'm doing tonight at Madison Square Garden, you got to get the Game Time app. So how do you do it? Well, you download it, you create an account, and you use the FantasyPros promo code. That's how you do it. And it's very simple. And when you use that promo code FantasyPros, you get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code, FantasyPros, FantasyPros, to get $20 off. Download Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, let's get to the next group here, the wide receivers. And let's start with a guy that I was pounding the table for last week. Malik Neighbors picked up a concussion. Now, he does have the extra time, so there's optimism that he'll clear protocols this week because you have that little bit of extra time. So maybe, fingers crossed, he does. But Wan'Dale Robinson, 46% rostered. He is clearly the number 2 guy in this offense. Pat, last week you probably could have got him for $1. This week, what do you think that price tag looks like?
Oh, it's maybe more like $7 or $8.
Right.
In PPR leagues, his value in full point PPR leagues is undeniable. I actually tried to deny it, and DBRO and I had talked about his inclusion in the waiver article and where he should be and everything. And, DBRO was insistent that Wan'Dale had value. I was reluctant. DBRO was right. But I do think that value is sort of limited to full point PPR. I think in half point PPR, he's more of a borderline flex. But because he gets all those short little grabs, full point PPR format, that his game absolutely works in that format.
Your thoughts on Wan'Dale Robinson, DBRO, a guy that we, again, mentioned last week, trying to be ahead of the curve, still hasn't hit 50% rostered, and bye weeks are coming up now. And you got a lot of injuries, a lot of guys, these Eagle wide receivers are out. They've got a bye coming up. Now, all of a sudden, guys like Wan'Dale in a PPR, you can plug in there and get yourself 12 to 15 points pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, the wide receiver 28 and PPR fantasy points per game, the wide receiver 16 last week. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely worth the pickup, man. And I think Pat hit the nail on the head here. Wide receiver 3 in PPR leagues right now. He's getting so much volume. Like, if he scores, he's going to be a wide receiver 2 in that week. If he doesn't score, he's a wide receiver 3. I mean, we cannot shy away from 25.5% target share. And it's clear. The Giants have said he is the clear wide receiver 2. There is nobody else behind Neighbors, basically, outside of a few scattershot targets to Theo Johnson and Darius Slayton. Like, Wan'Dale's staring down the barrel of 8 to 10 targets weekly. So you need to be picking up people, and I agree with Pat's assessment here, like 7 to 9%. Maybe if you want to go 10% in a PPR league and you're hurting at wide receiver, I get it.
All right, let's talk about another guy here, because Christian Watson, another high ankle sprain for him. So frustrating. Apparently he might even go on the IR, I'm hearing. It's starting to feel like one of those careers that might never get off the ground, which is just so sad. But where there is an injury, there's an opportunity. Dontayvion Wicks, the big splashy guy, right? Somebody that a lot of us fantasy nerds out there loved going into the season, but we're all looking at each other going, well, I just don't know if the opportunity's there. Well, now it might be. He is 18% rostered. DBRO, what are your thoughts on Wicks this week in terms of aggression?
Very aggressive.
Okay.
I mean, I know that he could only be a guy that we're talking about until Watson comes back. But right now we're dealing in what's and ifs about that. We don't know the definitive timetable. We're guessing 2 to 4 weeks. What if it's any longer? I think as long as he is the full-time starter, like the guy, he's got talent, man. Like, we were talking about him all during the offseason, and I pushed back against it in the offseason because I was like, he's the wide receiver 4 on this team.
Right.
So how crazy do we want to get with the wide receiver 4 on a team? But when we've seen him get extended run in the Packers offense, which he's going to do now, as long as Watson is out, 11, 12, 15%, like, I'm fine with any of those things, because right now I can make you a really great case. Like, he is a plug and play, pretty much a wide receiver 2 right now. Like, if you want to even push him down a little bit, wide receiver 3. But he's on the cusp of that borderline right now. And what do we see again? Got extended run last week, 24% target share, 2 touchdowns. So if it wasn't Jay and Reed popping off, it was Dontayvion Wicks, man. And he has amazing matchups in the next 2 weeks. The Rams, the Cardinals. Yeah, if you need help at wide receiver in the next 2 to 4 weeks, Wicks is pretty much a plug and play wide receiver 2. And Pat might need to tell me to pump the brakes on him a little bit. This is the guy that I want to be aggressive for, but I need Pat to kind of, check the water here and tell me if I'm crazy.
About it. 2 touchdowns, right? Love that. Love the 13 targets. He only caught 5 of them, but he is an explosive player, and that is the thing. It's like, if you're going to give him 13 chances to be explosive, I understand the game script that was negative right away. They were playing from behind. But Pat, I mean, it's hard to deny Wicks' ability to rack up fantasy points with perhaps not that many opportunities, because he can be such an explosive, dynamic player.
Yeah, Wicks' raw numbers were amped up and juiced by that pass-happy game script, with the Packers falling behind 4 touchdowns early on. But Wicks did have a 25% target share after Christian Watson left the game, and that's pretty significant. And he gets high-value targets downfield. So, I mean, if we're pumping the brakes, it's only because we know Jaden Reed is going to be involved every week.
So good.
There are probably going to be some Romeo Doubs spike weeks with Christian Watson out. And just as the Packers maybe had the best number 4 receiver in football with Dontayvion Wicks, they actually have a pretty good number 5 with Bo Melton, who I wouldn't be surprised if he started showing up a little more regularly in the box score for the Packers. But like Wicks has shown his ability to make plays. He does have occasional drops that can be frustrating, but the dude's a playmaker. He is a starter in these great matchups the next 2 weeks. I totally agree with DBRO on that.
Yeah, good matchups as well for Wicks. I want to talk about this next grouping kind of as a clump because I feel like they're kind of in that same conversation. Josh Downs of the Indianapolis Colts, 29% rostered. Tutu Atwell, 16% rostered. And Xavier Legette, 38% rostered. Pat, these are three guys that, have, I want to say that Wicks-ish kind of feel, right? Where it's, they can give you that one big play. And if they do, well, it's going to be a good day for them in fantasy. But Legette, still a rookie. Tutu Atwell, we know eventually kind of gets pushed to the side eventually when we get the Cooper Kupps back of the world. And Josh Downs, we don't know who's playing quarterback next week. So how do you approach these guys? Are these guys worth adding? Is there one that you prefer more than another?
You can miss me with Downs and Tutu Atwell. I do not want to play wide receiver whack-a-mole with the Rams while we're waiting for Puka and Cooper Kupp to get back. Like this week, it's Jordan Whittington. This week, it's DeMarcus Robinson. This week, it's Tutu Atwell. That is going to be hard to figure out. I mean, maybe any of those guys are desperation starters in the next couple of weeks during the buys, but I don't want to play that game if I can avoid it. And Josh Downs, I just don't think the Anthony Richardson injury isn't serious. So he's not going to be out long, if at all. And that is going to be a low volume passing attack. And the targets are chopped up at least three ways. It's Michael Pittman, it's Josh Downs, it's Alec Pierce, it's whoever the tight end du jour is for the Colts in any given week. I just don't think there's enough there for like sustainable, meaty fantasy value. It's just not there. I am interested in Xavier Legette, though. And he led the Carolina receivers in snaps, 10 targets, 6 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. He also had 2 carries for 10 yards yesterday. Legette's athleticism just pops off the screen when you are watching him. And I was actually watching a lot of that Bengals-Panthers game yesterday. I know he had this weird production profile at South Carolina where he never had even 200 yards his first 4 years there. And then as a fifth-year senior goes off for 71 catches and 1,200 yards. I didn't want to take him in dynasty rookie drafts because that was such a weird production profile and it made him look like a one-year wonder. But now that I'm seeing it, now that he is playing and looking good, heck yeah, I will buy a ticket to this ride.
Well, I think maybe you were also turned off by Bryce Young's quarterback play, Pat. That could also be an easy way to... Things have changed. Andy Dalton is the old man, the new kid in town, either way. So, DBRO, do you feel the same way as Legette is the guy of these three that might have the best long-term value in 2024?
I do. Actually, and a little sneaky tease, Legette's going to make my top 5 pickups for the week, man. I think we're looking at a situation where you want to see talent and opportunity coalesce. That's what's happening in Carolina for a really talented rookie wide receiver. Now he's demanding targets. Carolina's finally getting out of their way and saying, okay, fine. We've tried the Jonathan Mingo show. That show, nobody wants to buy tickets to that show because it's bad. And now we need to start featuring Xavier Legette. This is the guy that, look, if you're picking up a rookie wide receiver and we're talking about, okay, if Andy Dalton starts the rest of the year and this is a viable offense, this is the guy that could be carrying people down the stretch. And I just want to bring up, and I know we are only walking into week 5, but I want to bring this up for everybody. Weeks 13 through 17 right now, he gets Tampa Bay, Philly, Dallas, Arizona, and Tampa Bay again. Out of those secondaries, which one scares you? None of them for me. So
fair enough.
Legette's a guy that you need to pick up stash now. I would be aggressive. Like I'm talking like 7 to 10% of your fab. Is that too aggressive, Patty?
No. 7, 8 is good. I think 7, 8 gets you him in most leagues unless rosters are deep. If rosters are deep, you might have to hit double digits.
Okay.
I lied before. We are going to talk about the Jets for a second here. 2 wide receivers to discuss. Mike Williams, 29% rostered. Allen Lazard, 48% rostered. Williams made one incredible catch there. He ended up with 4 for 67. And don't look now, but Allen Lazard is wide receiver 14 on the year right now. So Garrett Wilson, obviously tough matchup with Surtain last week. But at the same time, definitely frustrations visible there. What a surprise, someone doesn't do exactly what Aaron Rodgers wants, and he embarrasses them publicly on the field all the time. So when you're looking at these two guys, do you see any fantasy value going forward and perhaps the ball getting spread out a little bit more here for the New York Jets? DBRO, Williams, Lazard, neither.
I'll take Lazard. I think the rapport with Rodgers is real. He's getting a lot of red zone looks. He's the one that's gotten the big bump whenever Wilson's been shadowed or dealing with bracket coverage. So I think Lazard is worth like 2 to 3% of your fab. The matchups upcoming are kind of tough, but you got to throw the ball to somebody outside of Garrett Wilson's bracketed up.
Yeah. Pat, your thoughts on these Jet wideouts?
I'm not really interested, Joe. This is a slow-paced offense. Their defense is so good that they're not going to be in a lot of pass-heavy game scripts this year. And we're just going to see some frustrating sort of back and forth, I think, between these two. There are weeks where Tyler Conklin's going to be involved. I don't think there's stable enough usage for either guy to be someone you should target on waivers this week.
Fair enough. So, look, obviously it's time of year where it's the fall. It's going to start to get darker out a little bit. If you're a Jets fan, you're a little down. You maybe need a little bit of an energy boost. A great way to keep the energy high, despite all of those factors this fall season, is Via. And as we head into the fall, I want you to check out Via because they're offering fully legal hemp and cannabis products discreetly shipped to your door in all 50 states. Now, my cousin, she's been using the ones for nighttime relaxation. She said having a great sleep. She has some sleep apnea issues too, and she has a monitor, and she said actually some of it's gone down since she's been using this product. So whether you're feeling the strain of a new workout routine or you're just trying to recover from a long day or a Jets loss, Via is a relief line for you. And I know DBRO is a big fan of their products as well. The organic flower is carefully grown and rigorously tested to ensure top-tier quality, free from harsh pesticides or chemicals. So whether it's, the award-winning THC or THC gummies, the premium indoor THCA flower, soothing tropicals, calming drops, you name it, Via has it. They've got you covered with high-quality, trusted products. And right now, the trusted professionals over there are going to give you a great deal. If you're 21 or over, check out Via's website in the description here for 15% off. Again, right now, that's where you want to head over to Via. That is the place to go. So go to Via Fantasy Pros. That is the spot there. Click on the link and learn more about the Via products and get 15% off when you do. Let's get to the streamers for week 5 in the NFL. DBRO, let's kick things off at the QB position. Where do you want to go to stream? And you can't say Justin Fields now because we've already picked him up everywhere, so he's not an option.
It's got to be Chef Geno, baby. We're going right back to the kitchen. Chef Geno's been cooking, and he's going to do it again against the Giants, man. I mean, Giants pass secondary is, it's one we're targeting, man. They're allowing the 6th highest pass rating, 11th highest CPOE. Geno's going to get it done.
All right. Now, technically, because Justin Fields is still only, 40% rostered, 41% rostered. You can stream him, Pat. You want to stream him and then just keep him the rest of the season? What do you want to do?
Oh, well, Joe, I see this Pittsburgh-Dallas matchup, and I want to stream Terry Bradshaw, take advantage of him throwing to Lynn Swan and John Stallworth. But since he's not available, I'm just going to stream Justin Fields against the Cowboys.
And by the way, for those of you who might be a little afraid, saying, it's the Cowboys, look, DeMarcus Lawrence injury. We have Michael Parsons injury. We're still waiting for a lot of news there. This not be a full-strength Dallas Cowboys defense. This could be a very good situation, actually. So don't get discouraged by that matchup. I just want to point that out. Fitzy, let's talk about the tight end you want to stream in week 5. Who is it?
I want to stream the guy that DBRO took, but the runner-up to DBRO's selection is Colby Parkinson of the Rams, who's just some involvement every week with Puka and Cooper Kupp on the shelf. Going against Green Bay, he's only 26% rostered. So in the land of tight end sadness, viable streamer.
All right, tight end sadness. There you go. DBRO, that was one of your favorite emo albums, I think, back in the
I'm still rocking that one right now.
He loves that one.
I got the hoodie, man. I
got
the hoodie.
Sadness. Who was the guy then? After that tease, who's the guy that you stole from Patty Cakes?
I will keep this 100. I will keep this a buck. So as we were writing the waiver wire article last night, I know Pat was editing stuff. I hopped into the to the outline real fast, and I threw in Tucker Kraft before Pat could pull it up.
You can both like the same player. It's allowed.
Tucker Kraft has to be picked up, and I think that he's got rest of season, possible tight end one upside. I think that we need to really understand he is their starting tight end. Luke Musgrave is only playing a part-time role. Last week, he got a 16% target share, 53 receiving yards. I know some of those things were elevated because of the pass-happy script, but a huge part of this offense had an 89% route share, and now he goes against the Rams. They're allowing the third most fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. Tucker Kraft might be a guy you pick up, and he's a clear top 10, top 12 option this week.
Okay, let's go to the defenses to stream. DBRO, what do you have?
I'm all things apparently Seattle on this show, Joey. It's Seattle versus the Giants. We've all seen Daniel Jones play quarterback. Analysis over.
Okay, there you go. Well, I have a stunning stat too that I put out there. The career stats of Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones are terrifyingly similar. I did a bit on it on TV on Sunday, and scary. Just take the names away and just looking at the stats. Yikes! The QB rating is almost the same. The completion percentage almost the same. Touchdowns and interceptions eerily similar, even though Daniel Jones has thrown a plate in a couple more games. Fitzy, give me the defense to stream in week 5.
The Broncos defense has been playing really, really well. It's more than just Patrick Surtain Jr. They get the Raiders this week. It's a terrific matchup. And oh, by the way, go an extra buck on the Broncos and waivers because you can play them for the next 4 weeks. And I think they're going to put up points for you. All very... There's only one neutral matchup maybe in the next 4 weeks, but other than that, it's all plus matchups.
Oh, that's a good call, Fitzy. Yeah, the Raiders, the Chargers, Saints, Panthers. Ooh,
yeah, Saints is the only one of those matchups I'm not excited about.
Let's go.
Pat, I texted Derek during that Broncos game, and I said, I don't know how this is possible, but Bo Nix has a stat line right now of 7 for 15 for -7 yards. I didn't know that was actually humanly possible to do in a football game, let alone an NFL football game. Not good. I just kept trying to wrap my mind around that, and it didn't work. No matter how hard I tried. Kickers. Let's throw one out there, Fitzy. Who do you have?
Oh, Austin Seibert. So the Commanders brought him in after cutting Cade York, who missed a couple of field goals in week 1. The Washington offense is absolutely humming. Since Seibert arrived in 3 games, he's 10 of 10 on field goals and 9 of 9 on extra points. It's just a kick-a-palooza with Seibert right now. If you neglected to draft Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson Jr., Terry McLaurin, here is your chance to get in on the fun of the Washington Commanders offensive juggernaut.
What a sad way to get in on that fun. Oh, with a kicker. Give me a kicker here. I mean, we're just going to stick with the theme. Is it all Seahawks this week, pretty much?
Yeah, it's all Seahawks, baby. I keep going back to the Jason Meyer as well because it keeps producing kicker 10 in fantasy right now. So let's not stop it yet.
You could pick up Steve Largent this week, too. Just keep going.
He's out of waivers, I hear. Yeah.
Before we get to the top waiver wire ads, again, let's make some more room. I want to talk about some guys to drop. With Addison back, Pat, can we drop Jalen Naylor now?
Yes.
Okay, so D-Bro's shaking his head, yes. What about Keon Coleman? I know he caught 3 balls for 51 last night, but another big missed opportunity. So far in the year, he just has 11 targets. D-Bro, are you done with Keon Coleman? Would you drop him for, let's say, a guy like Wicks or Kareem Hunt or Wan'Dale Robinson?
Yep, I would drop him easily for any one of those guys, and especially Xavier Legette.
Pat, I know you're the dynasty guy, so I know Keon Coleman's one of these, rookies we want to be patient with. But with the names that are out there, is that a guy to just lose the patience and move on?
I don't want to, but he's just not getting enough targets to warrant extreme patience.
Yeah, fair enough there. Okay, let's talk about the top waiver wire ads for the week. And remember, if you need extra help with the waiver wire, FantasyPros.com, all the articles are up there. The guy's working, well past the midnight hour on that. And the waiver assistant on My Playbook. Again, fantasypros.com/myplaybook, or just download the app, sync your leagues for free, and let the tools help you find the right players for your rosters in all of your leagues on one app. So it's a great way. You don't have to go searching 5,000 places. You can see who's available and then go pick them up right away. Again, My Playbook is the spot to find the waiver wire assistant. Fitzy, give me your top 5 for week 5.
My top 4 are very tightly bunched, and I could argue for ordering these. But luckily, Joe, we're spanning 3 different positions here, so it all kind of depends on need. I'm going to put Kareem Hunt at the very tippy top this week, followed by Dontayvion Wicks, Justin Fields, and Rico Dowdle. And then, for that 5th spot, I am between Wan'Dale Robinson, Xavier Legette, and Tucker Kraft. I'm gonna give a high tip to D-Bro and go with Wan'Dale here.
There we go. Hey, I feel like I'm the Wan'Dale guy. I was like, don't make Derek the Wan'Dale guy. I'm the Wan'Dale guy.
I'll tip the hat to both of you.
Jeez, here we go. I just On the live stream, we named a dog after Wan'Dale Robinson. It was a whole thing, Pat, last week. Don't miss the live streams. It's the best time you're going to have talking fantasy football. Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern on the channel. Myself, DBRO, Erickson, good times. DBRO, give me your top 5 for week 5 if you're just ordering them up.
So my number 1 guy this week is actually Dontayvion Wicks. Justin Fields is my number 2. Wan'Dale Robinson 3. Xavier Legette 4. And 5 is tough, man. I'm in between Rico Dowdle and Tucker Kraft, so it kind of depends on what you need, but I will go Rico just based off of being a running back, and we know the position gets banged up easy.
All right. Again, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, we'll be here to help you add and drop players here on the live stream, DBRO and myself. Great stuff, boys, as always. And Pat, lucky for you, this is the last of the Viking shirts that I own, so we'll have to put this to bed for now. But don't worry, Jet fans, everything's going to be fine because Sam Darnold comes to town next week with the Minnesota Vikings defense. I can't wait for that. Can I get an amen? I mean, I'm looking forward to that so much. How great was that catch of Justin Jefferson? Just want to put that out there. But anyway, I digress. Great show as always, gentlemen. So much fun to talk waiver wire, talk football with you all again. Drop your comments below and subscribe to the channel. You might win the latest Trophy Smack giveaway too. And that'll do it for us. However, the story of the game goes on. For Pat and DBRO, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.